Welcome back to the InboundREM YouTube channel. My name is Robert Newman. I'm the founder of InboundREM, and today we're going to talk about timing the market for lead generation strategies. This is an interesting time of year to be a realtor. It's also an interesting time of year to be the founder of a real estate marketing company. For as long as I've been doing this, which is 16 years, I have noticed an amazing synchronicity when it comes to people who are actually reviewing, purchasing, and strategizing marketing strategies in December. For us in this business, just like you, I tend to be busy or slow just like you guys are. Okay? Just exactly in sequence. Every once in a while, a realtor comes through and takes the slow time of year and really focuses on their marketing strategies for the upcoming year. Okay? This idea is one that, and that small group of realtors, because we will be slow. And this video isn't intended to be some kind of subtle sales strategy. It's really not. But the fact that this year is working out like every other year, where I get one or two inquiries, but they tend to be people that are really examining their strategies, and thus they are more successful, they have more money to spend. And I think that one of the reasons they have more money to spend is that they oftentimes are very carefully timing their strategies as it relates to marketing. Number one, here's one thing that relates to timing the market, is understanding that if you're busy 80 to 90% of the time, but you have a slow period in your real estate business, a lot of realtors just go on vacation. Some realtors, though, take a beat before they go on vacation and then decide to take a look at everything that they're going to do next year. Now, this requires a great deal of certainty about what you're going to produce. Now, I'm going to give everybody an example. It's one of my favorite examples of all time. So, 2007, 2008, when I got into this business, there were very, very few people making decisions about real estate marketing, and the reason was simple. Even if they got transactions, banks were not financing mortgages at that time. Big banks, small banks, didn't matter. The loan requirement was extraordinary. You had to have hundreds of thousands of dollars, and even then, sometimes the banks wouldn't necessarily finance the loan because everybody wasn't so sure that the entire financial infrastructure that backs real estate related notes wasn't going to go under. All right. And most of you weren't in this business then. Well, as you can imagine, if a real estate agent questions their ability to finance a deal, why do they need marketing? So we were getting cancellations left and right. We weren't selling very many websites. At that time, I was a senior account executive as a contractor over at Agent Image. That was kind of like my de facto title. But basically, I was doing consultations with realtors. And through the door, not to me, by the way, to a manager of another department. I just ended up working on this after the client was ushered in. But we got a really big order in the online marketing division of Agent Image. One of the biggest that we'd ever had in historically, like paid for in cash, up front. It was a crazy time for somebody to be laying out, and I don't remember the exact amount anymore, but I do believe it was north of $50,000. So imagine this for a second. Real estate agents aren't able to fund deals. So most agents are retreating from marketing in the strongest way possible. I mean, eliminating budgets down to zero. Canceling existing websites, stopping existing strategies. And yet, here comes in somebody that says, I'm making one of the biggest decisions of my entire career. And it reminds me of something that Warren Buffett oftentimes says. When other people are being greedy, be conservative. Be cheap, be conservative. When other people are running for the hills, be greedy. Buy everything. It's obviously no embellishment, but you get what I mean. This example was a realtor out in Palm Springs, and she focused on golf course homes. She and her husband had already retired from their main careers and moved out to Palm Springs, fell in love with it. She became a realtor, and I'm pretty sure if she's not the #1 realtor in Palm Springs, she's somewhere up there. And she spent $50,000, not only a website, but a massive SEO strategy, all paid for upfront. Number one, it was a time of year and a condition of the market that she got the absolute best deal that she could ever have hoped to have gotten from us. Number two, I've talked to her since then, and she had collectively noticed how many of her competitors were going out of business. They were all surrendering their licenses or running for the hills or calling her up and asking her if they could get a job. So she realized, wow, competition is dying out, and I am already a leader in this market. I really want to lock in that leadership. And so she had been considering a decision as it related to organic marketing, knew it was long-term, and she's like, if ever there was going to be a time to do a long-term strategy, this is it. My competitors will be running for the hills for the next year. So this would be the time when I could really capture a lot of space on the internet. And she was 100% correct. In all the years I've been doing this, I do not know that I know, because she only spent the 50 grand, not a retainer. She bought everything up front. And I don't know that I know of an example of somebody who probably had the phone ring more or made more money than her over the long term, over the next 10 years, because the GCI, the return on investment, would be probably 100 to 1. I mean, it's something extraordinary, because she became dominant for something like 50 different golf courses. And I'm talking 1 through 3. So she pretty much got the lion's share of phone calls in Palm Springs for a vertical she was already known for the next 10 years. So you guys can do that math. Now, timing the market is always going to be tricky. And you must, very similar to the example I'm giving you, must be pretty sure of yourself in the marketplace in general. You can work harder, things like that. We're going to talk about the risks, though. The risk is that she could have been wrong. She could have spent that $50,000, and number one, she could have not had the ranking. The campaign may not have been successful, which means she just would have a very big website and be poorer by 50 grand. The thing about that was that for her, she had the 50,000 to spend, right? And it was a gamble that she felt, or I assume she felt, I don't know for sure, but I have to extrapolate, she felt it was worth the gamble. So the risks were diminished because she already wasn't being found for a lot of the things she wanted to be found for. So what was probably going to happen at the worst case scenario, she continued to be found at the same level she'd already been found. All right. The benefits, though, like if she did end up, if she was right, if all of her looking around her, making an educated guess about the marketplace, if she looked around her and watched all these realtors going out of business, surrendering their license, retiring, the list goes on and on, right? All these people putting off decisions in their career use down markets to make those decisions. As we speak, the information that I've gotten is that we're going to have 25% less people have licenses this year than we did last. Okay, and right now we're at a record of almost 2 million licensed realtors. That's about as high as it gets in the US. So we could use a thinning of the herd. Towards the end of the pandemic, we were down to about 1.2. So we've almost doubled the amount of licensed realtors in the US. We have not doubled the amount of homes. So basically, competition has doubled since that slow period. But at the time that I'm talking about, people were running for the hills. There was not an increasing amount of competition. As a matter of fact, in her particular market, even established agents that she knew and knew well were getting too frustrated by the idea of financing things. And some people were just saying, oh, we're going to surrender our business for a little while. We'll come back to it later. And Diane, already semi-retired, I don't know exactly, but I have to imagine that part of the thought process was, well, I already love what I'm doing. We're already here. My husband likes to golf. So Why don't I take a big swing? Because I don't mind being busier. I love what I do. All right. So the risks for this person in this particular situation were actually not nearly as relevant as the benefits. What were the benefits? Well, the benefits were the type of marketing that she was targeting is one that takes a while to come to fruition. With this kind of slowdown, this was a really good time for her to be looking at it, because if it was successful, very likely none of her competitors would think to try to catch her. Certainly nobody else was going to be chasing her when the market was slow. So she's not worried about new competition. And the only time that competition is, like, let's presume that she was successful. So now she's on the top of the search engines and everybody goes, oh, you're on the top of the search engines. What did you do? Well, she had a year of getting out in front of them. That's a lot of time, because it was a long-term type of marketing. It does take time. So to have a year lead in front of everybody else, in the long run, nobody ever came close to catching her. Nobody ever did. And she isn't the only case study that I have where people make decisions in slow markets, trying to time the market. Generally speaking, like, if you're sitting here, like, we're in one of those, the reason I decided to do this video, we're at one of those influx periods, and almost all of you watching this video will already know it, even as I say it. There is a reasonably strong chance that the NAR issues will finally be resolved. The lawsuit has settled, okay? People are getting used to operating with the new rules in place, and NAR has finally approved the final settlement. We have a new political scenario. But if you were to roll the dice and take a guess, probably market confidence is going to go up, not down, which means that more likely than not, real estate will continue to see some benefits, if not just from the attitude and from other prevailing factors that are already present, like people have been not able to get into homes as an example. Builders have been building as an example. There are other prevailing headwinds that say that their market has to break in our favor soon. Our favor being more transactions, more homes, more things going on that are going to profit all of us. It would seem likely that some of that's going to happen in 2025. That would be my guess. I think that we're at an inception point right now. The market has been slow all the way through 2024, and it might very well still be slow part of 2025, maybe all the way to the end of 2025, but I have a very hard time seeing it be slow longer than that. And I might be surprised, and we might start seeing, because there's already signs that the market is improving. In many different marketplaces, there's a few markets that are still sucky. The luxury market in LA is seeing declines, okay? But many, many other markets are starting to see signs of life, increases, more homes on the market, more like asking prices coming down, people buying those homes. That's what I mean. In the grand scheme of things, if you were going to consider the idea of timing the market, especially as it relates to lead generation, and especially as it relates to that very small handful of you that are willing to think long term, this might be a good time for you to be thinking about it. Whether it's us or somebody else, some other form of marketing that you've been considering for a long period of time, coaching, things like that, things that you've been putting off, thinking about, you have a little bit of capital to invest. I'm going to tell you right now that if I was a realtor with a real estate license, I'm not saying I would necessarily do this, like do anything, but here's what I can say 100% for sure. I would be deeply researching, trying to decide if now was the time to try to time the market, to try to make some investments when I know for a fact other people are not, and know for a fact that there might be an opportunity to gain market share right now. And interestingly, because the partners that you use for this kind of thing, all the way from Zillow to us to everybody, if you decided to time the market and that it made sense for you, all of a sudden, this would be the best time to call like a marketing company and negotiate a deal. You could get a deal right now in this month that you will never get again. January is our busiest month, always, like in real estate marketing companies. So, but if you time the market and decide that this is a good time for you, you're going to discover that when you call these vendors even vendors who don't generally negotiate, I don't generally negotiate, you will discover that we're willing to negotiate now. And that would be a thing that you could get in front of before the market gets busy. Okay? Again, though, this is you have to really do the research and understand where you're coming from as a realtor and a business owner. If you're like Diane, where you already have a vertical that you've targeted, you're certain of your marketplace, you know a lot of your competitors, all those things are in place, you know for sure that competition is decreasing, you feel pretty confident about the benefit of some kind of marketing strategy, whether it's video, long-term coaching, you name it, but you feel pretty confident that those would yield you a positive example. And if you take the swing and miss, it's not going to break your business. If all of those things are in place, it might be time to have a conversation with yourself about timing the market. I've been Robert Newman. I'm the founder of InboundREM. As usual, I appreciate your time and attention. Do me a favor, if you liked what I had to say today, give me a thumbs up. I always love the attaboys.